Our objective is to deter an invasion or blockade of Taiwan. There are three things or four things that will go into Beijing's decision-making. The first is whether Taiwan takes surprising action, declaring its own independence, forcing the issue. And I think we've done an effective job of convincing our friends in Taiwan to preserve the legal status quo. That would be easier if it was clear that Taiwan could participate as a practical matter in the WHO, Interpol, and a number of the organizations. So the first is avoiding any precipitous action in Taipei that upsets the status quo. The second issue is can and will Taiwanese fight? The third is can and will the United States fight? And the fourth is can and will the United States take enormous economic action? So we just passed a $90 billion plus defense bill, our foreign policy bill, but it's got only $2 billion for all Indo-Pacific allies in terms of armaments. Mr. Assistant Secretary, how much of that $2 billion will go to bolster Taiwan's defense?
Congressman, thank you. I can't say at this point exactly how much of that $2 billion.
The bulk?
I would say a significant amount. We're having
that's not saying anything
we're having those
at all.
discussions right now, and
I would point out some of us were pushing to send weapons to Ukraine before 2014. More of us were pushing for weapons to go to Ukraine before 2022, and the world would be much better if those weapons had gotten there in a way that had deterred the invasion that is now the most difficult event in Europe since World War II. The issue of how the U.S. Well, let me ask you: the Ukrainians surprised the world and proved that they were willing to fight. Are the Taiwanese willing to fight?
Congressman, what I would say is that we've been impressed by the willingness of our Taiwan counterparts to address this threat head-on, to plan accordingly.
I want to move on to two other things.
I think most opinion polls would say the answer to your question is yes.
The next issue is, will the United States fight? And the answer is, we have a policy of strategic ambiguity, and nothing Congress can do can absolutely assure the result, in that it would take a president to actually order our forces to take any action. We don't know who's going to be president. We don't know when. And the Chinese cannot be certain what we will do militarily. But the one area where we can lock something in is economically. And that is to establish by law that if China invades or blockades Taiwan, that they immediately, automatically, and without further action, lose MFN with the United States. Would that be an effective deterrent, and would the administration support it?
Congressman, I'm reluctant to comment on any specific measure regarding an event that has not yet happened. What I would say is
an event has happened. The Congressman from California has proposed the idea that we adopt a statute now, long before China takes any action, that makes it plain to Beijing that if they invade or blockade, they immediately lose MFN. So that has happened. So can you comment on it?
What I would say is that obviously it would be a serious mistake for China to take such precipitous action.
Yes, but here's what
here's
what Beijing may be thinking. There will be a flood of lobbyists from every corporation in America saying, oh my God, we can't cut off MFN for China. It's going to hurt our economy. We haven't de-risked. And our companies are not de-risking the way they should. That is why I hope, I guess Ann Wagner has left, but I'm hoping that in financial services, we require companies to report to their shareholders what they're doing to de-risk. Is it the policy of the United States government to encourage our corporations to de-risk, or do we just wait for the day when they send all their lobbyists here saying, oh, we haven't done anything, so you can't possibly take economic action against China?
Congressman, we leave to companies, just as we do other countries, to them to make their own decisions. But what we do
we encourage companies to reduce their carbon footprint. Do we encourage companies to reduce their China risk?
Yes, we encourage countries and companies to consider carefully the risk, and we do encourage resilient supply chains and investments so none of us are overly dependent on any one country or supply chain.
I yield back.